can hear about your story.
Yeah.
And then if she misses it, she can watch it.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
She'll pop in at the right time that she gets what she wants. Here she comes. I just clip my fingers. Here she arrives.
Oh.
Hi. Hey, Kara.
Oh.
I can't see her. Can you
Can you
me?
see it, Sin?
Oh, yes, now I can. Yeah.
She puts on her glasses and it made all the difference.
I know, it's like magic.
Perspectives.
Oh.
Gorgeous.
Oh.
Cool. I reckon you should just tell your story to start off with.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I am in Uluru, and it's been interesting. So we are up here for a friend's 40th, and we decided only the week before that we were going to come, and I said to Fergal, "Oh, babe, I think we should go." And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, that's outrageous." And I said to him, "Let's be outrageous." And he said, "Okay." So we booked everything, and then because we're flown up, and a couple of guests flew up as well, and then most of them drove and have made a holiday out of it for a month or whatever. But yeah, we woke up on the morning of flight, and we, I was kind of the captain, if you have a captain, but I kind of wasn't really too concerned about time. And we hopped in the car, which I had driven into the drive the night before and parked, so it was easy for us to load everything in. And we hopped in the car, and I still haven't really decided if that meant anything, but the number plate of the car was PTG, which is Patrick Thomas Graham, which is my son's initials. And it had dead battery. And I was like, oh, and we had some buffer, but not a huge amount of buffer, because we were catching a 9:30 plane, so we had to go through PCAR in the city. And Fergal was pretty, he had a reaction to the fact the car had a flat battery. And by the time we kind of worked out what to do, we decided in the end, I had a few ideas, but he wasn't in a space to hear them. And then when I actually said to him, "I'm concerned about the way you're going to react to my ideas," he actually opened to hearing what they were. And we decided to push the car to the side of the curb, even though it's this huge truck, and get another car out. And interestingly enough, someone stopped and asked if we needed a hand, and they stopped and asked Fergal if we needed a hand, and Fergal said no. Obviously, in that moment, he thought we didn't need a hand. And then, so we loaded everything into the other car, and then we started to drive towards the airport. And along the way, it was so interesting. I mean, my experience, and maybe I'll honestly speak, my experience was that I really noticed when I went into fear and when I went into love. And then the impact that had pretty much immediately on the surroundings and my experience. And, we were doing okay coming along Eastlink, but then once we hit the Monash, it was basically a standstill. And, I could feel some anxiety rising. But I kept saying to myself, I kept going, it actually doesn't matter whether we catch the flight or not. The idea is that I want to spend time with Fergal and Patty. And the more I came into love for them and for just being and not having to be anywhere, the more the traffic shifted. And I ended up sitting in the car and I was bawling, but expressing my love for them both.
Gorgeous.
Oh, and that for me, it didn't matter where we were. And as I did that, the traffic actually started to open up. It was amazing. The traffic actually opened up, and we ended up getting through the city, and we got to the airport at about 9 o'clock, and we were like, okay, how are we going to do this? We've got basically 15 minutes to get all our baggage in, and we had 6 bags, including a swag. And I said to Fergs, how about you drop me off? And he dropped me off with Paddy and all the luggage. And I said, don't worry, we'll be fine, because, you know, I just knew we'd be fine. And as we put this, we've got 2 big trolleys, and then this Jetstar girl came up, and I said to her, could you push one of the trolleys? And she goes, oh, funny enough, I'm early for work, so I'm happy to give you a hand.
Oh, lovely.
I know, and I said to her, of course you're early for work, because you had to come and help me. which by the time we got to the actual check-in, she's like, I so had to help you. And I'm like, yep. And so she helped us. We got our boarding passes. And then I decided, I don't know if I'm going into too much detail, but there was a moment where when I was checking in, when I was deciding on where we were going to park and paying for the parking, it flashed up after I'd paid for the long-term parking, you can park in Terminal 4 in undercover parking. And I didn't know where that was. And it was like, pay an extra $25. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, nah. So I didn't select it. But interestingly, if I had selected that, would we have had a different outcome? Because it ended up that Terminal 4 parking was right next to the terminal. Anyway. And then, isn't that funny? As I even share that, my heart gets contracted. And I think that even like identifying, you know, what
multiple options,
different decisions,
realities, yep.
Yeah, but I'm also denying my belief that actually it was all perfect. So yes, we could have had, as you just said, Al, we could have had a different outcome or a different reality, may have been the word used, but it's like it actually didn't matter because it was perfect. And anyway, so ended up getting our boarding passes, and I was like, awesome, we're on. We made it. And then Fergal had arrived, and we were, you know, fluffing around, and I was actually decided that I wanted to put tags on all the luggage, which I realised afterwards that that was actually a fear that we were going to lose our luggage, and would it have really mattered anyway? But anyway, so I was putting tags on all the luggage, and then by the time I turned around and started loading them, the luggage had closed off. Oh, so we missed the plane.
Oh, so cool. No,
it was amazing. And then after that, it was just like we you know, it was the whole thing of going up to the counter and trying to get them to, you know, take our luggage. And I noticed, like, the woman who had helped us passed us on to this other woman who was quite timid, and I was standing there going, this is not going to go anywhere. We're not gonna. And I went up, and when the manager finally gave us space to talk to him, I could sense myself, like when I first started to speak, I could sense myself angry, and then I stopped and I thought, this is not, I could feel that it wasn't going to get me anywhere, and I stopped and I just said to him, your girls have been amazing, and I'm really disappointed we missed our plane. Can you explain the options? And I thought, my God, which was great, because initially I wanted to get angry and blame someone else or blame something else. But then I stopped myself once I realised what the energy felt like when I started to come from that space. And I was just like, no, drop it. And I just said that. And then they started to give us different options. And I started crying. And then I kind of, like, because I was really upset. And then I kind of was like, okay. And then we couldn't decide what we wanted to do. And so I said to Phil, I need to go to the toilet. And I left him and I walked, and I had to go past all these baggage collection terminal areas. And I was just bawling. And even though physically I was bawling, the voice inside of me was saying to me was, I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. And I was walking like a zombie. And it was just like, I'm free, I'm free. And it was like, oh my God, it was like, in that moment, I realized I could do anything and that it didn't matter what we did. And I was free. And then, and I went to the bathroom and I came back and I was walking really, really slowly, like really slowly. And Ferg was like, what is wrong with you? You're like a zombie. And I was just like, I'm free. And, you know, he was having his own experience. But it felt like it was a really liberating experience, even though it wasn't anything that I had expected. And then we just had to go through the process of of deciding what we wanted to do. And yeah, it was actually ended up being amazing. For me, it was amazing because I really saw what happened when I went into fear as opposed to love, and the instant feedback I got from the universe from that. And also that I was free and that I didn't have to do anything or go anywhere. And Uluru has always been a really special place for me, and I've had a number of really strong spiritual experiences there. And so I did, you know, a week beforehand, I was kind of attached and had this whole story going that I needed to go. But in that moment, I was like, I actually don't need to go. And then, anyway, Fergal was pretty keen to go. And so I said to him, he really wanted me to pay, you know, the money to to get the next flight, which would have been the next day. And we had to go via Sydney. And I ended up saying to him, in this moment, I don't want to go, but I'll do that for you. And so I went and transferred the tickets. And, yeah.
And here you are.
Yeah, and here I am.
Perfect.
There's some cool shit in that. And there's one real big reference in the beginning that you gave me an insight to, and it's the clarity of our what we once we give energy to our thinking or intention, we can say. So, like, one of the things was you wanted to spend time with the boys, and ultimate state is you get to spend time with the boys in the car a lot more than you would have, because you would have been on a plane or at Uluru a lot quicker. So the variance of degrees of outcomes of spending times with the boys. Do you see what I'm saying? You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and if you wanted to master the ability of creation and manifestation, even though I know we like to play in allowing the benevolent outcome to be what it is, but if you were to fine tune it, you know, if you were sharing an understanding to someone who wanted to fine tune it, because it's personal choice, it would be getting the message clear, the symbols and the understanding of the terminology of what you were using. So your boys would have been, you know, I want to spend time, as much time as I can in Uluru with you boys, you know, like, and as soon as you include that, you know, but I know it's not a biggie for you, because I know there's a bigger understanding, but for a lot of people that may want to play in that playground, that's the opportunity to fine tune it.
Yeah.
I love that we becoming a zombie gave you freedom. I was like, shit, do we all turn zombies to get free? Like, makes it it makes fun of the end of the world, doesn't it? It's, cool, yeah, we're all turned zombies and now we're free. Cool. Yeah.
Just on that, Ali, it's funny because I've been singing a lot this song about go slow,
yeah,
because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So a lot. I've been singing that a lot, so it kind of anyway.
I'm in the same vibe at the moment. Everything is about not being fast, and even Tyler was talking about, I'm not the fastest cleaner at work or whatever. He says I don't go fast, and I was thinking, wow, because really doesn't matter, because everyone's in a hurry, and and he's aware of it. But I think it was more the emphasis because I recognise, for me, in contrast to how I would probably play life, has definitely slowed. It's for me it's very slow, because there is no hurry. You're not going anywhere.
But another interesting aspect was that I was feeling really slow, and then when Fergal said to me, they said, the next direct flight to Uluru is not till Sunday, and then Fergal started doing some Googling, and he goes to me, babe, there's a flight to Sydney tomorrow and then to Uluru. And as soon as when he said that, and I was like, and I went and asked if we could go on it, and they said, yeah, you can. And then I said to Fergus, well, why don't we go to Sydney today and then, go to Uluru. And as soon as I said that, my energy completely lifted. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to Sydney. We can go and see the harbour. We can go and see a friend of ours.
Limitless. That
really,
limitless,
really
the limitless possibilities, outcomes, that whole, from that one thing comes multitudes of options, eh?
And as soon as I said that, I felt completely energized again. And then funnily enough, I went up and asked them, and there was a woman there. She said, yes, you can do that. And so then I had to go back out to Virgil and tell him, but he wanted to book the hotel before we actually committed to the flight. And I'm like, babe, let's just go. And then by the time he said yes, I went back in, and it was a different person than they said no.
Awesome. That's so cool. There we go. It's just allowing it to play out too. It's not having the attachment to the outcome. Sorry. Yeah. Go for it.
No, I was going to say, we still could have gone to Sydney the day before, but we would have had to pay $800 to do that. And then it was that whole thing about, well, do we look at that from a blank sheet of not thinking about anything from the past and how much we're spending to actually get to Uluru?
Yeah.
And the choice around that. So anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's even with Murray's flights back to New Zealand that time, it was just allowing it to be what it is for his experience, and it cost us like, $1,000, and over that, and you can buy those for $200 and something. And it's just it's the non-attachment to the outcome. Yeah, he wanted to be back. He got back. There's multitudes of choices. We're only limited by the boundaries of our thinking, aren't we? So that whole, and then money comes in, which is a really interesting one, because tonight there was something. I posted something and someone hit me up about money. I think it was Tanya, and it was once you separate money from yourself, because money, if we are money is us, it's all one. There's there's limitless things out in the world. There's just multitudes of experiences and abundance all around us, which is us. But as soon as we see it separate to us, it becomes further away. Or as soon as we put our blinkers on, think, got to go to work to earn this, we can't find I think hers was on holiday money or something. And so it was kind of like, straight away you've separated it. It's not, and as soon as you start doing that, things get further and further away. But money's only the core reflection of us anyway. So if we're not in a good space, you're not going to have, you're going to have to go through. It's only another teaching tool. It's like a limb, really, to the body.
Yes.
That's why I can't. Even the whole manifestation of money stuff actually stretches the old boundaries now for me, because the reality is there's nothing to manifest when it's already here. But it's funny, we've had similar weeks actually, because during the week, because we had those rugby tickets. I was telling Gabrielle, we went out early in the week. I come back from New Zealand ages ago, and Murray bought these tickets to go to the rugby. And he ended up buying them off this site, which is a bit of a 1.3 rating site, and it wasn't Ticketek. He thought it was Ticketek, first time buyer, which just on Google, and someone puts their Trivago or whatever, and then it says Ticketek, and he's thinking he's doing the right thing anyway, and which was the right thing for him and us and the whole thing. But anyway, we ended up. I printed them off. I said, oh, how legit do you think these tickets are? So I'm sitting there even questioning why I was questioning, and because it's really irrelevant, and chances are they were legit. But the whole funny thing of the story is that he had a very mild reaction, which I thought was really, and how much he shifted. And I said, forget about the destination being the rugby game that we go, you wanted to go and see. Let's go on an adventure and see what unfolds. We'll get to the gate and see if the tickets work, and have some fun, And so we'd really embraced it. So we started off our day and we left, and it was freezing cold, and he just decided to drive. So we got as far as Conscious Cravings, 10 minutes down the road, stopped off and had a feed and a cuppa, and then I thought, actually I might take my hat. So he came back, got my hat, then we drove up the coast, and then he found a park, and it was an all-day park for like $11, and it wasn't far from the stadium down in Richmond. I thought, cool, just nice and cruisy, you know. Oh, I've never walked Richmond Street, so hey, so let's walk Richmond Street. So it's kind of like, wow, we haven't done this, you know, this is really cool, something so little. Find the public toilets, yay, done the public toilets in Richmond, but you know, it was just mark the highlights. And then the funniest thing is there's a cafe I've always wanted to visit, and it's been, you know, like years. And so we found that was just further down the road. So we went down there, which was amazing. And it's all about happiness and all fun food. And it was a really cool spot. And so then we finished there, and he'd messaged his mate, which was the Irish coach, and he messaged his mate, and he said, early in the week, and Joe had missed all the messages. So so I thought, while I'm there, I'll just wish him good luck for the game. My message went through. So Joe responds, oh, bugger, we could have caught up a bit early in the week. It would have been great, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, he said, I've got a time slot between 5 and 5:30. Well, we had organised a tea at 5:30 with some friends, and who are all Woodville people, small town people. So, and so I was kind of like, so I said to them, well, you could always join us, you know, and we could work out from there where we go. So what happened was, and it's funny, my friend Ken, his reaction was like, no, we don't want to intrude, you know. And yet the silly thing is, it's like, slap you, get real, like, you know, come join us, have some fun. So they ended up meeting us at the hotel when we got to sit down for half an hour with them, which was just like the ultimate gift for everybody. It's really cool because we hadn't connected for years. And so Joe goes, oh, I've got a couple of tickets if you want to come to the game. He didn't even get the last words out, and I was like, snatch. So I'll take these because I've got a feeling that I'm sure the others are fine, but these feel more legit. But the funny thing is, and our friends met us, and you know, I got to do the city, and so in cafes, I got to do the city in art. We did the arts around. Got to see Joe, got to spend time with our friends, you know. So, and then what happened? We left there, and there was and we all said, oh, well, look, there's a grilled burger place, and it was all nice, yummy, healthy burgers, and so, which was on the, you know, I've actually wanted to go there too. So I've kind of ticked that off. So I was getting all these things, and at the end of the day, it wasn't about the game, you know, as much as that was the point in the destination that we'd made at the beginning. And so anyway, we got there, and Murray was kind of like, should we check these? And I said, oh no, just give them away to somebody, you know. So in the end, there was some guy trying to get rid of his. So Murray said, here's 2 more. So I gave them. Oh, and honestly, I don't know how they do it. I looked at where they were seated, and they were up in a corner by the screen in the Aussie end. And his email, actually, it's really funny because the tickets we got, would you believe, front. And Joe had only, because they're not allocated many tickets at all, so he had only just come down the stairs and just passed someone and said, oh, you haven't got any spare tickets on left or whatever. And he goes, oh, well, actually I do, I've got 2. So so literally 5 minutes before he walked down the stairs, he had got these tickets, which were hot in my little hands, snatching them out. But he had a bit of a laugh about the site and stuff because he'd had a similar experience. So it's kind of like, it was all a lot of fun. And so we got there, and of course you go in there and you got front row tickets right down by the sideline, and you're amongst the Irish who just sing and party and are happy and smiling, and oh my god, it was like a concert the way they sing. It wasn't a rugby game, which kind of really made my day. And so we had a really really amazing outcome out of something that could have been, oh shit, you know, like, oh shit. But the whole thing I kind of emphasized is, forget about whether we get in or not. You know, our intention obviously is to buy tickets and to go to the game. But the funny thing is when he messaged me when I was in New Zealand and said he had tickets, I said, oh, I think he must have thought he booked close down by, not in grass level, but down there. And I always saw us sitting down by the grass, like sitting close to the game. So when I went to sit down, I thought, this is how I saw it.
Mm.
And yet the whole process was, it didn't matter. I mean, the ultimate thing was seeing someone you hadn't seen for so long and catching up and doing cafes that I've always dreamed of, and then finding some amazing artwork in the streets. And yeah, the game was just the bonus, but oh shit, what prime seats amongst the Irish. It was just, but like you, again, was just having that detachment from the outcome.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process. Just follow it as it comes. Like I got my steps up, happily walking around the city, doing, so all the little tick boxes that you like to tick if you want to tick any or not. But
yeah. It's funny actually on the way home from the airport the first time.
Yeah, there's going to be another one. You're going home soon.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we ended up going to a shop that we've been wanting to go to for ages and haven't been able to get there, and bought all this new stuff for the house that we've been wanting to do for ages. So it was amazing in itself. Yeah. It was like, I felt like throughout the day, even though I went into some of the fear stuff, it was fine, and I got so many great lessons or understandings from it. It actually felt like I was texting the birthday girl going, your birthday is just the birthday that just keeps giving. and when we arrived at Uluru, so we eventually got here, Paddy didn't sleep the whole way, and then he fell asleep literally as we put him in the car, and the drive from the airport to the resort is not very far, so he was like asleep for 10 minutes, and then we came into the hotel, and they were all sitting up having lunch for the 40th, and I said to the waiter, can I bring in a porta cot and just put the baby in the back of the restaurant so he can have a sleep? And they said, yeah, sure. And we put Paddy, he transferred beautifully, he slept for 2 hours, and we got to sit and have a beautiful lunch. And I sat right next to the birthday girl. The woman next to me actually, I ordered something, but I didn't realise, but she was telling me about how good her meal was, and the waiter thought I wanted the same as her. And I was like, oh, whatever, it's fine. And it ended up being so beautiful, and it was just, it was perfect. It was perfect. It was perfect. It was perfect. It was perfect.
No effort, just tune up.
No effort. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you were discussing something with me the other day, the epiphany that night. We've been discussing something. What was it?
Oh my God.
It's
real.
You
know what?
Yeah.
It was that I when we got home from the day, so we didn't get home till about 5 o'clock, and I said to Fergal, look, in this moment, I don't feel that I'm going to come to that I want to go to Uluru. Like, I've completely let it go. It doesn't matter. And he said to me, well, I'm going, because it required getting up at 3:30 the next morning to drive up to the airport again to catch a plane to Sydney and then on to Uluru. He said, I'm going and Paddy's coming with me. And I was like, oh, okay. And anyway, I hopped in the bath. And in the bath, I put in some bath salts I got from you, Ali, and I had the bath. And when I got out and I turned around and I looked in the bath, and the bath was red, and it was like the red soil of Uluru. And I was like, I feel like I've just had a bath and I've just washed off all the sand that I would have picked up in Uluru. And I was like, I don't actually need to go. I don't need to go. And then all of a sudden, it was like later on, I actually had a chat with Cara, and then I spoke to you, Ali, and when I rang you, it was that I realised that there was nowhere to go and nothing to do. There was actually nothing. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to go anywhere. Because I was saying to Cara, I could go with the boys. So now the boys were going, and I had this choice about whether or not I wanted to go. And I was going, I could go with them, and spend time with them, or I could stay home and spend time with myself. But I was like, but even if I go, I'm still with myself.
Yeah, it's that multiple reality, options, choices, and nothing to do, just, left door, right door, which one,
And I
play.
couldn't believe I didn't care. I couldn't believe.
I know. Isn't that nice? I know.
It was like, I had no attachment, because I also understood that being there was no different to being where I was. So, because it's all my reality anyway. And it's only me choosing to see it differently.
I was like, today is just a different thing, but the meaning behind not having a feeling about it. I dropped my phone and it kind of cracked, and got a nice little smash in glass and cracked, but it's okay. But I was just so okay, yeah. And I was like thinking, oh wow, I actually was liking the lovely pictures Murray was taking with his phone the other day. God, the clarity and stuff that he's got. God, that's nice. And I was admiring, and I was like, and the funny thing is, I've been saying, and because, okay, Murray's dropped most of his phones for whatever reason, and this one he's just obviously worked too hard with. But anyway, he while we're in town, we actually picked up a cover, which is something he wanted to do. So it's again one of those, you're in town for the rugby. Oh, but while we're here, we just walked past a shop and no one's got any covers for them. Oh, and this one happens to have one. Boom, those sort of things. And so I was kind of laughing, going, well, he had a cover. Oh, my cover was on, but it's just had it anyway. And I was just kind of like thinking, wow, I must be getting a new phone. Oh, this will do me till then, but like just that piece where it really doesn't fucking matter. Like seriously, dude.
Ali, I had exactly the same thing happen to me today with my phone.
Oh,
I lost it, and when we realised I lost it, we were driving out of the camping ground, and Fergal goes, "Babe, do you want to go back and look for it? Because you're going to be worrying about it all day." And I looked at him. And I said, "Oh, babe, I've got a feeling." Like, because I did. I was like, "Oh, I've got a feeling." And we looked at each other and we both just started laughing. Because, that's my thing, is always, whenever I have a feeling, it's like, oh, I've got a feeling about it. But we looked at each other, just laughed. And then I just said, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then we ended up coming back, and my girlfriend goes, "Oh my God, you've lost your phone, you lost." And I was like, no, it doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter. And then we went out for the day and did what we were doing. And, in the course of the day, Fergal ended up finding my phone. But I was actually saying as we're driving, I was like, you know what? I was actually thinking, even though I just bought the iPhone last week, I was thinking, I actually think I prefer a Samsung. So I think I think I'll just get a Samsung.
Oh, well, that's cool, because I love iPhone, so I could buy you your iPhone. Oh, I was actually thinking there'll be some simple thing about this today. I was like, there'll be, yeah. So I'm after an iPhone, and you've got a new one, so I'll buy yours, and you can get it sorted, dude. How instant is that?
And then you can get your Samsung.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I love it.
Boom. Oh, it's all about us tonight, girls. Sorry. Now. We better move on. Anyway, we've shared ours.
But it's also been, the other thing I'm just going to mention before I finish is, the other thing I've noticed is that I'm here in Uluru, but it's like I haven't had to do anything. Like, it's like yesterday was a really slow day, and, we got up and did a few things, but I haven't had the need to be at the rock. Like, I haven't needed to actually be anywhere.
Oh,
and that's the
ultimate.
Amazing.
The ultimate space. And that's the detachment. We were talking about that last week. So with my boy going over and doing his futsal overseas and stuff, and I would think, it would be nice to go over. You'd take me back years, it would be like, I feel you kind of missed out on something. And now it's like, it'd be nice, but it's okay. It just doesn't matter.
And today we had said to Vic, well, let's go to this 10 o'clock walk or whatever, and we just didn't get moving, quick enough. And I said, Tim, don't worry about it. And so he goes, oh, let's go to the cultural centre because I want to get a coffee. And I was like, yeah, cool. And as we're walking out, we saw this area where you could hire bikes, like riding bikes.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, why don't we hire some bikes? So we ended up putting Betty in a backpack.
Backpack.
And we hired bikes. And we rode around Uluru. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and at first I was like, oh, we have to go really slow because I've really got to take in the energy of Uluru. And then I'm like, who the fuck am I kidding? Yeah. And we're just like riding around, and I was just like singing the whole way. I'm free just to be. And then smiling and tinging and waving at everyone. And we had a ball. And it's like, I said to Fergs, my God, if we'd gone on that walk, we would never have gone to the culture centre, seen the bikes, and
again, multitudes of realities right out of one thing, which people are trying to get there. There's other alternative realities and stuff. The multitude of realities right in the one point of options of the time you get up, from the choice in the time you get up, the time you go to the toilet, whether you go to the toilet or whether you go and get breakfast or whatever. There's so many that, and you're winging in and out of all these realities. So where do you really need to go? It's all here. Anyway, so you girls want to have any feedback on our chat? Because you hit us up, or have you got anything that's similar, or you want to share, or you want to kick into something? Just go for it.
I have a question about.
Go
I already
for
know
it.
the answer to this, but anyway.
I like that.
But I'm going to ask it anyway. So, resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So what I feel is a resistance to always being present, and a resistance, like, what if I want to do something? Like, I it's like I already know the answer to this because I know this is coming from my mind.
Okay, give me your process of your answer so we can enjoy that too.
Okay. Well, I was telling Gabrielle a couple of weeks ago, I had this thing happened where I felt that I had stepped outside of time.
Yep.
And so I had a multiple of reactions to that. And one of them was that, holy crap, there's I could literally create anything from this space.
Baby.
Anything is possible from this space.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. But then I had this other reaction come up, which is like, oh, well, what's the point of anything? What's the point of, I was going to visit my friend and I was like, what's, to see this thing that she bought. And I was like, what's the point? Like, why am I doing, there's no, anyway, so I had that sort of come up. And then there was what was the other thing? I was angry. I felt angry about it. I felt like I was, what was it? Caught in, it was like I'd woken up from some illusion or something. And I felt angry that I'd been in this illusion. And so I had this multiple, a whole bunch of reactions to it. And then since then, I guess, I go in and out of that space of feeling present, but then I still,
okay. So because you have an emphasis of what you think is being present, so you think you go in and out, therefore you will go in and out. That's this is the whole thing. It's a bit of a joke about being present. I've been contemplating for quite some time, is that we are always present.
Yeah.
It's only our thinking that we're not. So therefore plays out that way. Because the energy behind the thought then manifests into a reality.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting there searching, thinking you're not being present, then it'll show you something else, and then it'll shift you and it'll give you the most convincing reality that you're not present.
Oh, it's funny because it's like so simple, like but it's like, but I feel like it can't possibly, it's like how can it possibly be that simple?
I think I was discussing, I was just trying to flick up a conversation that in Vanessa's, because it's really interesting this week, because the consciousness, obviously, which is just a word, but the people I'm in touch with are all having similar realities and similar stories and similar play. So I'd be talking to Gabrielle about something, then it'll pop up in Vanessa's conversation, will pop up in someone else, and they're all experiencing it together, but in their own ways. And which is like, you know, there is an old saying that, you know, the more you hang around, the more, you know, like they're all a vibe tribe sort of thing, and it all shifts and changes. But the whole simplicity thing, and now I'm hearing it from you, and hers was more about the doing nothing stuff as well, you know, and I'm sitting there kind of laughing because, you know, she knows in doing nothing I do a lot. So she's kind of trying to grasp the concept of that doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? I sent her a very old quote I wrote. And I'm just trying to flick it up, and it says, "The magic of everything experiencing itself through itself, yet watching itself."
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's playing from all those fields.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yes. I'm just yeah.
I love that. I'm just always present.
Yes.
It's just
it
like
is.
you say,
It is that
it's
simple.
the thought that I'm
You got to remember, you know, like it's. Oh, we were talking ascension actually this week too, like, you know. So, and again, I think I was talking to Sheena in the car on a ride somewhere on the way home, and then Vanessa hits me up with that question. You know, so there's no such thing as ascension, then, you know, like, you know, like now she's questioning, like, and I'm sitting there going, it's another playground. But there's nothing for me. If everything exists, there's nothing to ascend to because you're already there. It's only that you separate yourself from it that makes it not part of you. Even though it is part of you, you're just not identifying with that part of you. And so, you know, we can, and like she was saying, the loss of, like last week, I think Gabrielle was saying the loss of, I'm not sure whether I'm doing her music stuff, you know, playing. I just didn't have, you know, it was like, it didn't matter whether I was here or there. Vanessa's having the same. Oh, I'm not sure. I don't meditate like I used to meditate. I haven't got the more or less addiction or need to do that anymore because I'm already okay. You know, I'm already doing what I'm doing. And so it's taking away all those things that we think we need to be doing to get somewhere, because we are starting to recognize we're already here. And I think that, you know, as much as we talk about, whether we're talking about having everything here, and it could be 12th dimension, aliens, blah, 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 whatever, I think in awareness, a lot of us can talk it but not actually see it, and as in physically see it. We may experience it in different ways, yet all that's us anyway. So once we're looking outside ourselves for that, you can go off in tangents and play in that area and have a really good time. And that's what I mean. Ascension's as a space of another playground, as I will refer to as a sport, as is work, as is making love, as is whatever, drinking, as in doing drugs, as in whatever your choice of experience is. This is from a perspective that if everything already exists, you know, and it's I think there was a question about, so do you think it's written destiny? And I don't even believe that, because at the end of the day, there's so many little doorways. like multiple realities, as we've shared tonight already, is that from one thing comes many choices. I can pay $1,000 and take that trip or whatever, or I can wait a day and take tomorrow, and I can have some fun and do something else. There's so many ways. It's only limited by our choices and how we choose to play. But going back to that, so your reactions to resistance, that's an interesting one in itself, coming out through being present, because being present's got nothing to do with anything, obviously, because it's the reaction and the resistance that vibrates within your being. So knowing that it's normal to have a reaction, if you know, because everything is here now. My thing would be, if it's annoying you, frustrating you, then there's something there for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why would you want to resist being present all the time? What's your fear-based scenario?
It's a good question. It's something to do with it being different. It's like
not fitting in.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. I feel like, how can I fit in if I'm always present?
How perfect. But at the end of the day, not fitting in comes back to you, which means that in life we have tried to fit in, which means that end of the day, being present's got jack shit to do with anything, because it's all about you. And so, and self-acceptance and self-awareness and stuff, and the less gets less and less and less, and it doesn't get more reactive or restrictive. And that restrictive feeling is also fitting in. Do you know what I mean? It's a closed off, it's a closed off you, because you're fitting in. So yeah. That makes heaps of sense. Yeah, really.
That makes a lot of sense.
Really, really simple. I love it.
That's perfect. Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks for that share. That's cool.
Thank you. That's so cool.
Hey, Cindy, are you still there?
I am.
Keeping you up.
No. I wanted to ask on that same kind of subject, is if you're thinking about the past or the future, I heard the philosophy of, and it kind of makes sense. It's like it could happen. I don't know, and don't really care, but I'm curious about it. Could it be happening in another dimension? So what's happening that I'm thinking about in my past, that's happening somewhere else now. What I'm projecting into the future of a scenario, that's happening there. And I'm here now. But my mind can wander in either direction, and am I not present here while I'm thinking about those other places?
Or are you just in those realities playing them out? So are we? Yeah, exactly. Are we not? Are we perhaps our future thinking sitting here, yet we're actually not here yet, because this is another doorway of reality?
It. And am I creating my future and everything that builds up to that by thinking about the future? Am I kind of setting the path because I'm setting a mindset of what's going to happen, rather than being now and being in the flow of it?
Or are you just in the void of just going through as many doorways as you want, which we call past, present, future?
And that's kind of good fun.
Or
as well.
And again, I think it depends on. I think it depends on if it becomes an attachment to your understanding. Then I think you'll find issues with it, because you'll start, and then you bring it back to yourself. Why is it an issue with it? And then it becomes all about you. So the past, present, future becomes irrelevant, just as the reactions and the restrictions that Kara's feeling with being present. That all of that becomes. I mean, I think that's more a curious question than and I think only you can answer it for yourself, as in where you sit with it. You can get a whole lot of philosophies thrown at you. I just think I used a scenario the other day as I'm sitting here, I'm doing something, scribbling or making art or doing whatever, and all of a sudden I'm doing art, and I feel like I've shifted into Atlantis, and I've got this Atlantis breathing print going, vibrating at me. Who's not to say I didn't go to Atlantis?
Yeah.
You know, who didn't say in that moment I was in Atlantis? I was presently here.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I shifted into Atlantis and played into that field.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and then in similarities, the alignment of stuff that comes when you are present, though, I mean, I think it opens the awareness that you can participate in all these different fields without being dominantly in that field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're dominantly in that field, and that's all you talked about, all you did and whatever, and hey, look, how it's probably the right thing. But for me, it's like, if it's controlling every aspect, if this was controlling every aspect of my being, having to turn up every Monday or whatever, we have such a flexibility. Oh, see who's there, see who's, you know, and it's fun. And it's, again, do it while you enjoy it. But when it becomes an attachment that you can't let it go, then it's got more to do with something else than, and I think that's having the past present understanding. I think we're shifting from a small mindset, or not even a small mindset, a way of thinking of the and I'll refer to it as the past, but I know it exists, a generational thinking of delivery, that it is all separate. You know, everything, you know, everything to me is not doable until it's done. So literally someone having 12-dimensional bodies just fading in and out and doing all its things. Once you see that once, you'll see it everywhere. Because it's like, it's like, I refer to the 4-minute mile all the time, you know, and that I'm talking miles, not, you know, that was the days that we spoke of 4 miles. But once it was run, someone did it, and then everyone else started doing it. So I think it's just, don't get into a limited mindset of thinking of the possibilities and the outcomes. Past, present, future. Again, nothing's anything till we make it something. So how powerful is that thinking behind the thought?
Yeah.
You know, that's what I said to someone the other day. Well, our thought's not a playground. So I'm sitting there saying your emotions are a playground, your feelings are a playground. So why not if thoughts are a playground as well? And you step in. I'm talking about the person, the ultimate being behind that, looking at that and going, well, there's a thought, and are they our thoughts? Because everything already exists. So therefore you're looking at, and no matter how I deliver this tonight, I can wake up tomorrow and deliver a whole different story, because I'll be convinced of something else, because that's contrast. And as soon as one thought is poked out into, or attached, or given someone's energy behind, it'll have that perspective. Someone else will read it and they'll have another perspective, and you've got a multitude of perspectives from one point. So you've got a multitude of experiences from that. So, and then all that has contrast, because as soon as you give it something light, you give it dark. As soon as you give love, you give it hate. As soon as there's so many contrasts around that, you know, that's the whole, you know, it's playing in the nothingness. It's just allowing it to be what it is without the attachment, and just be part of the experience. And just, so it brings it back. What are we here for? To experience it, whatever it is, and have no attachment to it. Just have fun with it the way you choose to play with it.
And really, it becomes whatever we want it to be.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think I answered your question at all. So
but I liked what you said. So who cares?
Yeah. And that's
it
great.
Doesn't matter, you know. Yeah. I liked it. It's good.
I think for me, this is only talking personally for me. I find I turn up more with things that, like, okay, so like tonight we can joke about the phone, because the perfection of that. But I think that's what happens also. Even the tickets, the freedom, and and he picks up 2 tickets, and it's right 5 minutes before he, you know, as he's walking down the stairs to come and meet us, sort of thing. And all those are so much more achievable from this space
In the projection, is that what
just in your state.
Yeah.
So I'll use. We can say, people say a space you hold, but there's no holding. You are that space, but from this space, the dominant space that you play in, allows those outcomes, allows those experiences. Not to say that there are no others to have. Those that want to go off and play in another land with, all sorts of bits and pieces, because they all exist. It's just it's just a personal choice. And I think the whole thing I get out of it is just chill the fuck out and have an enjoyable time for me. It's not about I think we're all too serious,
Yeah, totally. Cool.
How's your week been anyway, Cindy?
Yeah, okay. I've had lots of kind of stuff playing out on the I think the self-love and looking after myself, and that's kind of kept playing out, and that's fine, and that's going to play out. But I have got this funny, I think it's hilarious. So I went and got my doona dry cleaned, and I went to go and pick it up, and they're like, oh, sorry, we haven't got it. And then they couldn't find it, and then they go, we've got it, come in, you need to come in. So I turn up, and that's not my doona. So they go, okay, we'll get you a doona. They call me up again, you have to come in, we've got your doona. And I go, no, this still isn't my doona. And this has gone on for 4 weeks. And so I get another text message, no, I'll have your doona tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But it's just so funny. I'm like, what? Like, I don't mind, and it's fine. But I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know.
That brings me a really good point. Is there a need to know?
No, it doesn't matter, especially because I've got no reaction. Well, I think it's kind of funny, and it's kind of cute and a bit, and they're so sweet, the people. I quite like going to say hello to them.
Well, no wonder they keep saying you're having fun with them.
I don't know if they're having fun with me. They look so sad when I say, no, that's not my doona. But anyway, so I think I feel like I'm much more, I'm in a better place this week than I was last week. Like, I feel like I'm letting go of lots of that. That's the whole health and self-nurture and all of that's a massive thing for me. And I'm just kind of, you know what? If I need a day off, I'm going to take it off and not feel guilty for it. So I'm still in the process of that.
No. You can definitely see the shift in the process. It's not there. And the thing is, I know we terminalize it as a process because it's not, because it's just you're allowing yourself to play a different space. And so the whole thing is I'm not going to conceptualize you into a limitation. Do you know what I mean? I think that your whole, I can see from, if we went back and looked at the videos a couple of weeks ago when that you're a lot lighter and things and we could word it by its processing and it's through. The reality is that what's not to say if you've just shifted from this to this and it's the same thing. It's just that in this dimension you've now come to be this, and that's who you play. That's more dominant in your soul, and the less is. So the stuff that you used to play, Cindy version 1 is not dominating, and you're liking to switch it to Cindy version 2, and even it's all the same, but it's just it's just another.
Yeah, but it's been funny how it's. It's been really present at work, like everywhere. It's been really present, and it's just like, okay, just show me again. Keep showing me.
It's good that you're understanding the reflection that is played out. Do you know what I mean? And seeing yourself through it. That's a real cool thing.
Yeah. So it's not. It feels really nice, actually. Yeah, It feels like it was much heavier than it is now. So, so I'm good.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, awesome. So that's it.
Oh, cool. You're right, Karen.
My battery's about to die.
Oh, that's it. Are you all sorted, or do you want to plug it in?
Oh, yeah, I'll find the plug somewhere.
Okay.
I'll just take you guys. You just keep talking.
Oh, that was clever. As she moved, they switched sides.
Yeah. That was good. Hey, I had a great insight the other day. It was actually on Friday, the day we missed the flight. And I got home and I had heard myself say a few times during the day, I feel exhausted. And I got home and I had the bath or whatever. And then I hopped into bed super early and I was lying in bed and I was like, why is it that I feel tired and Fergal doesn't feel tired? He didn't have a need to go to bed. And it actually made me realize that I had this story running that actually wasn't my story. It was, and I only realized I had it running when I spoke to you, Ali. But, and the story was that because I had cancer when I was 12, and my mum, always after I had cancer, my mum used to say to me, "Oh, Goopy, you must rest. You always get tired."
Reality.
And she refers to me as the what's the animal?
Gazelle.
The gazelle.
Yeah.
The gazelle has lots of energy and then it just dies. Not literally, but collapses. And
all or nothing.
Yeah, all or nothing. And I was lying in bed and I thought, okay, but I didn't know I was hooked into. Well, I knew that story was present, but I actually said to myself, if this is based on a belief, then I'm going to change the belief right now, and I believe I can do it right now. And my belief is that I don't get tired easily. And then I felt really energized by that, and I got up, and then I went and had a conversation with Fergal, who said to me at the end of the conversation, "Go to bed now." Which completely triggered this whole thing about I'd just been lying in bed telling myself I didn't need to sleep anyway, and I changed my belief.
The interesting thing though in changing your belief in that I don't get tired, if you googled I don't get tired, you would find lots of reasons about getting tired.
Well, it was, and you know what it was when Fergal said to me, sorry, this is where I was getting to. When Fergal said to me, "Go to bed, you're tired," or whatever, and I actually burst into tears, and I said to him, you just don't accept me for who I am.
Yeah, mirror.
Yeah. And I was like, and as soon as I said it, I went, oh, okay, what am I not accepting about myself? And so I went off, and that was when I must have, soon after that I spoke to you, Ali, but that was when I realized what I wasn't accepting about myself was the fact that I get tired when I get tired and it doesn't bloody matter.
Yeah, I mean, if you were wanting to formulate a shift and change into that perspective and whatever, and this is a separated self, and this is what we do in today's world at the moment is affirmations, is I am energized. So, but in saying that, this is my shift, of understanding. I've done the affirmations, and I do share that because it helps people have that focus to align the reminder that we already are. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think it is. It's just the reminder to tell everybody what you already are and you already have, and make it as currently present as possible. So the I am and nothing else, because you are it all. But at the end of the day, it's being aware. And the reason I'm explaining this, even though you guys know it, is that someone may watch it and not realize they're doing it. And so what a really good thing is, if you're actually thinking about something that you're saying to yourself, write it into Google, search it. And then it'll tell you every possibility of the outcome. Simple reflection of yourself. Because when you're saying, I don't want this, or I don't like this,
you're giving it energy.
You just give it energy, and it gives you more. So if I don't want porn on my TV or something, or whatever. If you were saying that and you searched Google, you would get porn after porn after porn after porn. Because at the end of the day, the don't and the stuff are irrelevant. It's just word phasing. Yeah. So it's it's the awareness of that. I'm just sharing that for more than just us. That's more so. There was a real interesting one on starseeds. I think Gabriel had this week too. and then it come up again. The reason I'm bringing it back up, Gabrielle, was that Vanessa said to me, and she had a real relevant conversation on, so do I believe in starseeds, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, we're all starseeds, seriously do. And then she said, oh my God, so a homeless person and a starseed are the same thing. And I'm going, yeah. So the ultimate realization that there is no separation. The only separation is what we give it.
Yes.
Girls, I'm going to have to run to the bathroom.
Go for it, sweetie.
I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
You don't want us to join you? The authentic vulnerability, we can go to the toilet.
You'd rather it if you didn't.
That's okay. We've got no senses of smell or anything here.
And just Ali, just on what you just said just then about the starseeds thing.
Yep.
I was having this funny experience where I kept, there was somebody that I kept seeing at every time I went to Frankston shops.
Yep.
And I just didn't want to talk to them. I don't know. I just felt like I just, didn't, I don't know what it was. And so then I kept seeing them, and I saw them around the corner from where I live walking, and I'm like, this is weird. And I'm like, okay, so then I had the realization that
wow.
that person, it wasn't that they were a starseed, but that they were a divine being. And I actually saw instead the light. I just saw the light in them. And then 2 days later, I was walking. I was in the shops, Frankston shops, coming out, and I literally bumped into them like, oh, hi. And then we had this lovely conversation. And it was just really funny.
Yeah.
But it was just, anyway,
no, that makes I think that's the relevance, is we can't separate anything from ourselves, and it even comes down to culture. I was talking about culture, because we separate our cultures, which is cool to have an identity and understanding and a sharing of a knowing in this place. And I've got no issue with however anyone wants to, but what I'm getting to the point of is that we're all human. And it's even with my son being gay, is I can't see him as gay because he's just human. Yet in his whatever the code of LGB, whatever, and all the labels, and every right to them own to understand their expression. For them, not for them because they're not them, but for people, all of us, we seem to like to, or have a need to know, or need to do, or so what if we walked this plane and didn't have any identity at all? What if we didn't leave any legacy at all? What if are you okay to just be here and to experience life for what it is? I think sometimes we get too tied up in being an advocate for, getting your point across, when the reality is, if you share your experience through your experience, you may come in and you may be gay, or you may come in, especially and share his experience. I've learned so much of a diverse reality through his experience. And I think that's the gift, not labeling it. I think we get into too much identity crisis of needing a place to fit in. And it's not so much about, God, everyone probably thought I was Pākehā most of my life until now, and now I've got every other race in me that I've found lately. But the thing is, I've never segregated it. I've always felt connected to everybody, and I'm passionate, and I love that. That's one thing, that's something I do love. So I think that whole, if we're going to separate starseeds, aliens and all that, if you want to get humans, aliens, what's the difference? It's just a label and name. So step back again, if that you got to go, wait, get out of this headspace and into a bit more airy-fairy little, it's not even airy-fairy, but it's the only way can you describe it. It's just another perspective of being that so-called alien having another experience, expression, a personalized version of their experience through the whole space of things. We're all interconnected. If you want to take it from, we've come from something, and it's just billions of years of expression, or does it all exist already?
Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah. And we come from anything, do you know? It's like, because I always just, you know, I think I've brought it up before, as you know, when can you not remember being alive, or, you know, those simplistic questions. And I think, again, does it, if it's a matter to you, it'll be a journey. It'll be, you'll get your point across, blah 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 blah. But when you stop doing that, you know, you stop fighting, you know, it stops when you stop fighting within yourself, everything else stops fighting around you. And it's like you said, Cara, when you looked for the light, you saw the light, even though there's no difference. A perspective of you were choosing to only see an aspect of it, and then when you saw the whole aspect, you saw the beauty within. And I think that's in all of everything, let alone a human, a tree, or whatever the whole experience may be. You know, and it's just that we have this. Yeah, we need to describe ourselves and get our point. It's like, so what's our need for that? You know, you can get curious about that, because really it doesn't matter. So that's my simplicity, is just we've come to experience it, whatever it is. And we've all got a personalised version that we're running. We're all we're all the same. You are me and I'm you. Yet it has a little twist to it, you know. That's probably the... Yeah.
I remember when I was getting scared at night of energies and whatever, and I had a conversation with you, Ali, and you said, well, it's just you, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And that was cool.
and
less scary.
yeah. And you know, that's you know, I think everything's a fear of the unknown, you know, like, and then when you realize it really doesn't matter, and the more you do it, the less reactive. I think the more you play in this sort of playground, and look, this is a choice of a playground. This is one of many playgrounds. But for me, and again, it's not about, as Vanessa and I were saying, we'll just divert here. You know, it's not following anyone. Because we were talking about some labelled person, and she said, I feel like not kind of like not following his. I'm actually, and she started going, oh my God, am I following you? You know, and I'm going, oh my God, that means, you know. So we were kind of laughing about the realization. I said, and that thing is that she's not following anyone; she's following herself, and it's finding your personalised version of that. But when you become attached to an external stimulant that feeds your look, we have an ego, but I'm going to use the word feed your ego, but you've actually separated yourself and you place them higher, lower, out, whatever. I don't know if that's worthy of having yourself in balance, yourself. When you have that separation, I think there's a lot more. There's not the relaxed cruisiness. There's people that they go out there, and when you haven't got that identity of just accepting who you are, they'll display themselves differently, and you'll feel the energy portray themselves. And I pick it up though, and I joke with my husband sometimes when he blends into different groups, and I'm sitting there kind of smiling, going, and this part of Murray will come out to play. And it's like, and we joke about it on the way home. Wow, you know, this is so-and-so Murray, or this is whatever Murray that turns up this day and that day. And I'm sure, you know, he probably says the same. But I think the more you do it, you just can't do it. And I was just saying to someone, you just can't lie. And we were doing that today. Like Murray brought us these cakes. And so Tyler and I were having a little bit of a feed, and we halved it and left one piece, you know, one big piece there, thinking that Murray would have, that's his piece and sort of thing. And anyway, Murray came home later and he goes, oh no, I actually had such and such and I left it for you. And I thought, oh wow, so Tyler and I can have another half. Because I said to Tyler, I could tell Dad the story that I didn't have any or whatever, and he'd give me half of that, or he'd give me the whole lot. And then I said, but the reality is I can't lie. And I said, and your dad's so generous, he'd share it anyway. I don't know whether he would or not. But the reality is, this is what we make of it. And but you can't lie. You can't, you know, you can't. there's just no reason. There's no reason to be anyone else but yourself. There's no one else to turn up, to play, to fit in, to do whatever. And I suppose it was very humbling in meeting, seeing Joe after all these years, because we haven't seen him, and Murray and him grew up and played a lot of sport and stuff, and he's spent a lot of time with my dad playing sport, and just seeing him so humble, making, you know, he's this guy on the big stage of sport, and he turns up and he fits that slot, you know, half-hour slot, and the busyness of all he is too, and then you're just sitting down there and he's going, oh, this is actually a really cool place. We're in like a reception area, because upstairs it would have been busy with all the players coming and going and bits and pieces, and we just had solely him for half an hour. And when we left, the whole lot of us said, man, for half an hour there was a lot of stuff we discussed. And we're all heard and we're all shared, and I think there's a real skill in being humbly human amongst it was really nice to see that we're all this, you know, it was just like, you know, it's 15, 16, 18, you know, age, when we were all hanging out, it's the same person. And I think that's it. But you know, for some people, they shift into that space. I don't see them all the time, so I've got no idea. But for a lot of people, so I was watching. Here's an interesting one. So I was watching the game, obviously, sideline, right up front, and I watched. You know, I'm looking at a professional sports person, and he was playing for Aussie, and he's looking in the Irish crowd, like something had happened, and he was kind of like a bit of jibbing sort of look and stir to the Irish crowd, and I was like, well, this is really interesting. And then he turned around, and it was like he's looking through the crowd, and I was going, obviously not present, like totally, like and even as an amateur athlete as I was, once I was on the court, the surroundings were a bliss. There was nothing there, you know. So I was surprised at an athlete of that demeanour playing that, which made me realise, you know, obviously, which we're all talking about tonight, is how present he was. And watched his game. Was an interesting game. But the thing is totally unaware. And portraying, you put on this and I am this. I've got a shirt on and a kit on now, and I'm this person. And it's just how we shift into those. They're all aspects of ourselves. But I think when one gets out, one dominates, that's when we start to, you know, life starts to reflect back to us all these different injuries and scenarios, sin binning and all, you know, like all the what they think is happens in the game, but what you attract into the game that becomes your reality.
What sport did you play?
No, I loved basketball.
Basketball, okay.
Yeah, I loved basketball. Just in a little humble town, and a little bit of netball. But no, it was nice. I was just saying, we come from a small town of 1,500 people, literally, not even. And it's a really funny reflection. So I'm appreciating how grateful I am having this moment, and we're all sitting there, and he's now coaching some big team in the world, and I'm sitting there just appreciating just in total appreciation. We're all in just this amazing. There was just like sitting here tonight with you guys, exactly the same. And then went out for tea with this other friend, and then I got home and I posted a picture, and then a friend wrote, we were so lucky in our time to come from a small place. And then she started rattling off, and her brother just come home from the pub, and he'd said, oh God, you know, Woodville was an amazing place. And I just said to Murray, sometimes in life you just get, I've got it now, I couldn't see it then. What we've got here now, like in an understanding of space and time of it, we actually had quite a high vibe tribe, and I'm just using those as words because they mean nothing, but I can't describe it because it has no word. But there was a nice, and a lot of things have come out of that place and done extremely well. And it's a very small number. So yeah. Very cool, very cool. So total gratitude. I was just in, we're all in just, I made my husband's night. When I received the text, he had emotion. So it's kind of like, meant a lot to him. And again, it was, in the end, it wasn't about the game, getting to the game. But of course, so we have these front row seats, and of course who he chats to and goes, oh, my kids went to school with Joe, and he gives us his card. So I take a photo later that night and say, oh, this is who we sat next to, and he starts laughing. So the connections, that's, you could be sitting next to any Joe blog, and like, oh, but no, he knows him, and so it was just, I just think that's what happens. I think that's what happens when you just become, everything just comes like so much all interconnected, so easy without having to try and do anything. And that's that present moment, Cara. That's that the simplicity, the non-stressing.
And you know what? You've made it even, like, I feel like it's even more simple now, because I was thinking to myself, there's nothing to do, nowhere to be. I just need to be present. And then it's like, fuck, I don't even need to do that.
No, because the reality, the thing is I know. So knowing that we already are, as soon as we put, we attach anything to that thought, or whether we make it or whether it's out there floating, it's irrelevant. As soon as we attach that, it becomes limited to our experience.
From my experience, any emotional attachment to things, like even smoking, as soon as I gave up the emotional attachment to it, I was able to stop smoking. Anything that it's like this massive block, it's like this wall that, in my experience anyway, I can't get past that because I've decided on something, anyway.
I'm so glad you just mentioned that, Cindy, because I was thinking before, I was curious about this story my mum had running about me that was attached to this whole I'm a gazelle. And I thought, like, she, it's now 30 years on and I still hear the story. And I thought, I was thinking about it when I was in bed the other night, and I thought, I wonder whether, and I'm curious about what you all think about this, but I thought, I wonder whether she still has an emotion from when she saw me sick. And it's because she hasn't processed the emotion that the story that she created in that moment has stuck.
There's a couple of things in that. So they're sitting from the I couldn't give a shit and it doesn't matter seat. It would be mums, and the curiosity of understanding that is, that for mums. The relevance of the story and how you spoke and the words, and I can't repeat them. I got how you become attached to her story that made it your story.
Yes. And I was curious about what made it, why she still had the story, and what makes a story appealing and one that you hold on to.
Okay, so with the realization that you have now of late, allowing that to filter through the system, is she still telling the story full on? Or have you come to that? Because the thing is, when we come to a space of a realization within ourselves, there's no need for her to share that story anymore.
You know what, Ellie? You know what? I mean, I haven't spoken to her, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And certainly after that night, and I cried. Fergal hasn't called me a gazelle since, but also I've noticed that I've had as much, if not more, energy than him since then. So I actually feel like I have dropped the story, but, which is the most important thing.
Yes. Irrelevant to anything else. Your mother, I can be in peace with mum going through all her shit now, and it's not actually having any effect with me. And and the moment I react, I know I've got shit to deal with. But I'm, for me to spend 5 to 7 weeks over there and have such a great time, and I did upset her a couple of times, but I was actually okay with that, and I wasn't doing because at the end of the day, and she was okay. She moved through things really quickly, and I think it's because I had no story attached anymore. So things move so much faster, like, you know, because there's no need to show that story because it's not relevant, because you don't need to know.
Yeah. Awesome.
It'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting. I can't wait.
Look, honestly, no, seriously, don't give it in, because as soon as you place it into that thought center, now they're going to play in it, and now you've opened that doorway for something. And I'm like, I've realized this, and it really doesn't matter. Boof, bang, so again, it's a detachment of curiosity even sometimes, but I think you can get to a place of a null void and you can observe without actually affecting the energy, and that's where I think I like to play from. And so it allows it to be what it is, you know, and if it's meant to be, it'll be, and you just have no pull or swing on it, and you can observe it, and the best outcome for everybody happens, because you've just gotten it's like you're saying, shifting the cars and stuff with the energies and stuff, and because as soon as you focus on that space opens up. And I find that's just fine, because you're already that space. It was just you not playing that space, you know. For a moment you're here and now you're there, and then it's like you can do that on purpose. You can do that on purpose and thinking, but would it not happen anyway if you're just being who you are? And so therefore, that's the space I'm kind of saying. That's the space where, oh fuck, there's nothing to do. Kara's devastated and she's getting a bit pissed off. That's the space. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a really curious space. There's like fragments, and again, we'll get to that space, and there'll be some other space, because at the end of the day, while you keep seeking something, there's always going to be something. It's just coming to peace with it is what it is. Like you say, enjoy it, play it as you want it to be, but know that you actually can fine tune these experiences. They're all stunned mullers. Okay.
No, I completely, and I feel like that's been what the process has been.
Yeah.
You know, epiphanies come, and it's like, oh.
I've noticed as soon as you absorb it and come to it, it just never turns up again. It's just like, both bang, gone. Just like, and then knowing it all exists, and if it needs to, it would. Yeah. But the shifts of, I think that's the whole thing. I'm watching everyone, that's interesting. I just turn up. I'm entertained by, what did I say? I'm entertained in seeing aspects of myself played out in other perspectives of realities of how it chooses to present itself. And that means all you personalized versions of everything in the world. I look at them and see that's an aspect of myself and how it turns up. And how much it's shifted from this point to this point, because that's actually how I saw them, you know. And I think that's a really good realization too, is how you see it is, which we know, how you choose to see it. And, you know, that old story I told you about when my daughter turned up, and I saw when she come to live with us, and I actually saw her as this person in a really good space, and this is, and she turned up, and I was like, who the fuck are you? Like, you know, seriously, dude. And but by the time she left, she looked like the person that I knew I thought was coming. So, you know, it took her 8 months to find that. But is that because and that's a really interesting playground, because you're holding this. So instead you're not seeing her like this in this limited viewpoint of going through what she's going through. You have the space of this, and then that's all you see. And you kind of one day that, trust she finds it all if she wants to or not, but that's how I see her. And then all of a sudden, boom, she's walked into that. So does that also have an allowance of a playground, because you open yourself up to share that playground with another person? I've got no idea, but that space of seeing you all as, because I've seen you all transition. So, you know, like, because you've been a big part of my life for the last few months, you know, like, so I've seen the stories that we shared to the stories that you share now. Like, that's contrast of 10 years work for me. And it's just like watching it go, you know, and yet when you're talking to me, I can hear me. And it's not me, because you're giving me a...
Did anyone just see the shooting?
I know. I was like, how perfect timing. Can we rewind to those words and hear that and see that shooting star? Because that's the alignment of all alignments. And we can make a good story of that. and we will.
I missed the shooting star before, and I was thinking I'd like to see one, and then all
I see. How simple is it? How simple. I know. What else could we see out there? You know.
That was amazing. I didn't even know what you said.
Nah, I don't even care what I said. I'm just happy with the alignment. But I just think at the end of the day, what I was getting to is that seeing yourself in everyone.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
It's all okay.
Yeah, and then that also makes it easier not to have to do anything, not to be scared of anything.
Yeah,
like it's just like fuck, whatever.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I've noticed that I have a lot less fear of other people since I've looked at people in that perspective.
Yeah.
Where I work, there's a lot of people on ice, and I was really frightened of them, and my fear has dropped dramatically.
That's so cool. That is so cool. That's a real interesting, because that's where I'm kind of headed lately, and just ticking on my 50,000 million multiple spaces that I plan. That's one of the realities that I think would be coming to peace with everything so much, and allowing. So even this, I'm saying, so the big stories don't have to be big stories anymore. Do you know what I mean? And the experiences, so that you just don't. It's just not. Even the people playing those big stories would lose its power. Do you know? Because it's.
There isn't,
there's not the need to get it across when you come to peace. And when we stop fighting the need to portray a way to live, therefore, because you know, at the moment you look at, and we can go into this, and which follows up on a discussion this week we've had, Gabriel, some rape thing that went on in Melbourne this weekend or something. And I've only picked up little bits of fragments, but the guy was doing a radio thing, and he was saying, so, you know, there's a way that they're saying taking responsibility and having your phone and blah, 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 and, you know, all the preventative stuff, which is all cool. And from fear-based, so we know what that's feeding. It's the misunderstanding of getting to that point. I think she was raped and murdered. I'm not too sure, but anyway, the thing for me is what we were discussing this week during our coffee morning is the importance of knowing our own story and understanding how we got to it. And when we find that, we can't actually go. So the perpetrators even have a story to get to that point. And then if you get to life, and life is just to experience, and experience is what it is, you're getting these whole different variants. And like you said, Cindy, you're not tense or fearful or angry or bitter, and it's just so much more calmer. So if we can all meet in an understanding of calmness, then the realities are going to shift. But we're not understanding that. We're not understanding how the perpetrator got here or the victim got here. But once we're trying to fix it by processing from fear-based or control, which in a world is only create more fear-based and more control. So it's got to come from an understanding how we got to that point to create that point. Anyway, that's another story for another day, because you guys must be getting messages from your husband. Are you okay in the car?
Yeah. I just got a couple then.
Is that fear driven?
Yes. Oh no, or he wants her home now to go out for supper. Under the stars. Actually, he wants to do wine under the stars while they get an opportunity.
But can I just say, Ali, I got a little bit distracted because I was getting messages come through, but I did want to mention from that coffee date.
Yes.
We did say that one of the things you know of where you're at with life is when you can watch the news and not have a reaction.
Yeah.
And I actually was listening to the news today at some point and heard about what you were referring to, the girl being raped and killed. And I was like, and there was other stuff, and I was just sitting there going, oh, I'm not even having a reaction to this. Wow.
Wow.
And I actually almost texted you and Ruth to say, hey guys, I just listened to the news and didn't have a reaction.
Oh, wow. That's huge. You've got a gift. You've got a gift to offer in that line of work. That's huge. I think from someone who's experienced, you know, it's like speaking from the cheap seats. Like I can say, I'm sitting here, blah, blah, blah. I think your story is really important. I think everyone has an important story. I think everyone's experienced something. And when you make it more real and when you own your own story, yeah, look, there's things like we said, we don't agree with it and we don't like it in bits and pieces, but we haven't got the emotion and attachment and the stigmatism to it to feed the energy to create more of it. And it's just attacking it from a different perspective. And it's not like an understanding that we're here to experience life. We don't get, you know, we have a whole lot of things, a whole lot of multiple left door, right door options that get us to that particular point. And knowing that what gets us, and that's when you have, you know, the awareness that we do actually have a choice, even though we understand that there's actually nothing to do.
Yeah.
So we just have a bit of a just swing around and see what anyone's got, because I don't want to hold you up any more than not that I give a shit, but the reality is you're in Uluru, we're in Uluru with you. You may as well go and enjoy what you can. And I think we've been going for a while anyway.
I think it's a good time.
Yeah. So do you want to swing around the group, and if anyone's got anything they want to just finish off on, so be it. Oh shit, you're good. Come on, girls. You're right, Cara. Got anything to finish off on?
I just love that that feeling of there's nothing to do, but anything is possible, and that you can create anything at the same time.
Yeah.
So things at the same time.
Which is really cool, because that almost takes it back to that nothingness theory, and out of nothingness comes everything, or out of everything is nothing. So therefore, the perfect state, which, so I'm so grateful that you're present here now. As you are.
Yes, thank you. I'm present. I'm always present.
You are. You are.
Oh, it's such a relief.
Cindy, are you right?
I'm all good. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Tonight, lovely ladies.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks for your sharing as always.
Beautiful.
Good to see you, Cindy.
Nice to see
before.
you.
I can't see you now, but
my battery's really low.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Well, you may as well finish us off. Thanks, Gabrielle, for sorting us out in Uluru. It's so good to be there. Actually, I'm so funny, because what brought to my attention tonight is the body I painted. The masculine man and the feminine front is in the room, and that's to do with some Aboriginal story out of Uluru, some mountains. A man and a woman come together or something. So, cool. Make it to be whatever we want. But I just thought that's funny, because it's in my room and you're in Uluru, and I'm just like going, oh.
Of course. You didn't even have to come.
I'm already there. You are me.
Yeah.
Can I just share a quick, cute little story? A friend of mine married a German guy, and she moved to Germany like probably 25 years ago, and he does Aboriginal painting, and he's on display currently in a German library, and he's got some of his work for sale, which I thought was quite cute.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. All around the world.
Yeah.
Okay, last one I'll finish off on. The tickets I got the other night were 22 on a number, which is very significant for us lately, and 441, which is 144 backwards. And so when I sat on the seat, I just smiled, laughed, and thought, oh my God, and row A. So I was like, I'm here now. This is where I'm anyway, on that note. Thank you guys for tuning out.
Thanks so much
for sharing. Have fun, guys.
Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.